All right, Cal. So I want to talk a little bit about Fox and Haliburton here. It's been a rough start of the season for both of these guys. Both of them had a decent shooting game out of one of these three, but for the most part, both of them look like they're not as aggressive as they need to be. Obviously, they haven't been getting the calls that we want. They haven't been getting to the free throw line enough, but they both seem to be turning the ball over more than necessary. And I think this was our first official year starting them together, and they are the starting point guard and shooting guard. So how are you feeling about that tandem? How are you feeling just about their play in general, and what needs to be cleaned up to help this team out?
Well, turnovers and making shots. To be, as blunt as possible, those are the two biggest things right now, I would say. I've loved how aggressive De'Aaron Fox has been. I think he's carrying that over from last year. Last year, we saw him really make a point of emphasis to get to the basket a lot. And I think that he has had good possessions overall. I think that he's taken smart shots for the most part. I've only seen him be really out of control driving to the basket a few times, which, of course, those need to change. I can't see from a guy who's supposed to be the leader and the best player of this team, an all-star. I can't see the plays where you drive to the basket out of control and the ball goes flying into the third row down there too many more times. It's one thing if you're getting fouled, which I do think there's been a bunch of times where he probably could have gotten a call and didn't, but you can say that about a lot of people in every game. You have to be a little bit more controlled and get the ball up on the basket for a good shot attempt. And I thought in the Utah game specifically, I loved his aggressiveness, getting inside, but not being too out of control as well. I loved his post up on Mike Conley, that turnaround over the right shoulder for the left-hand fadeaway. I think that should be his go-to shot. I really, really do. He just hasn't really hit it with that much consistency. So that's the thing. The threes, he's really struggled so far shooting the three. I think he's maybe taking too many threes per game. I think he's definitely forcing a bunch of threes throughout the course of a game. But I'm not ready to panic on De'Aaron Fox. There's absolutely no reason for me to say that. Tyrese, I really have liked how he's played so far. The first game, he really wasn't looking for a shot at all, but he continues to affect the game in other ways. Defensively, getting in the passing lanes, that's one of his best attributes. And he had 9 assists last night. So he's playing the point guard role, I think, the most out of this team, the true point guard role. Him and Rashawn Holmes in the pick and roll have worked really, really well together. So, again, it just comes down to making shots, and it's for the whole team. It's not just both of these guys. It's really everyone. Harrison Barnes is the only guy that I would say it has made shots consistently for the entire team throughout the season.
So, everyone's talked about De'Aaron Fox and all the muscle that he's put on this offseason. And I guess over the first few years, or his first few years in the NBA, that was one of the major knocks on him, right, was his body wasn't ready yet. And so everyone's kind of talked about him putting on this muscle as a positive thing. Not saying that it's not, but do you think that maybe he's still getting used to this new body, and maybe that's what's affecting his shot?
I'm not so sure about that. I don't think that I think his shot just still hasn't caught up with the rest of his game. To be honest with you, especially his outside shot.
Yep.
Can he hit threes more consistently or better than he could when he first got into the league? Yes, absolutely, he can. But he is not a guy who I'm ready to say, all right, De'Aaron, you're gonna when you're out there, I want to see you take 6 threes a game. I think that's too many for him. I would like to see him take maybe 2 or 3 a game and focus on getting to the free throw line 8 to 10 times a game.
Yeah. Yeah. And he needs to get some calls.
Yeah, he does. He definitely does.
Lane, you're hilarious. But yeah, he needs to get some calls. He has too many times where he's driving to the basket and either he doesn't get the call or he dribbles the ball off of his knee or it gets knocked off of his knee. But yeah, I agree with all you guys in the comments. Sacktown breakdown. Fox needs to take wide open threes or catch and shoot. Totally agree. This offense just needs to do more. I see too many guys standing around and just waiting for Fox to make something happen. I don't see a lot of cuts to the basket. I don't see a lot of movement. I don't see more than one screener per play. And I think that's the kind of stuff you need in the NBA, especially when you get stuck in this later end of the game and half-court offense. The Kings' half-court offense is really where it struggles, right?
Yes.
When they're not getting turnovers.
At the same time, I've seen them play extremely well in the half-court. I've seen them move the ball from side to side, and Luke Walton is actually, I think, a really good play caller. You can say what you want about him as a head coach overall, maybe as a motivator or a leader or whatever the knock is on him, but I think he calls fantastic plays. They get great shots out of timeouts, and really the first possession of the game, he always has a really good play drawn up. They like to run that kind of like 3-guard weave at the top of the court. I think that's their best play. They get a dunk or a wide open shot every time they run that. So I would love to see more of a traditional half-court offense where they run some set plays, run some motion, and get guys moving around. I really would like to see them play a lot like the Warriors played last night, where it's all 5 guys are constantly cutting, and that takes time. It really does, because you got to know where the rest of the team is going to be at all times, and you have to play with guys a lot to figure that out, through the course of a game.
And when you're playing this much defense, it's hard to have the energy to do all that.
Yes, but they're also really deep, right? So they should be able to keep guys fresh, especially at the guard position, because they can rotate these guys in and out. So, and they're all really young. They have the right ingredients for this. They just got to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree with you too. The Kings need to get in the bonus, and they also need to make free throws.
Same thing we've been saying with them for years.
Yeah. If they got to the line, 30 times last night and they're still shooting 60%, I don't know how much that's really going to help them.
Yeah.
But that's the direction they need to move towards, is they need to be more aggressive. Yeah. They need to be picking up these fouls. And when the referees aren't calling them, that doesn't mean you can just start chucking 3-pointers. You just got to keep doing it. You got to put them in a position where they have to call the foul.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's just going to happen as these guys get older, as they learn more. They say veteran moves is what guys learn to pick up fouls later on in their career. So I think they just need to be more aggressive. And, I want to talk a little bit more about Tyrese here. I saw him have a ton of wide open shots that he passed up last night. And I feel like he's feeling out this team still. He's trying to figure out what his purpose is on this team. And that's difficult. A guy that's supposed to be a point guard is now your starting shooting guard, and you're playing with a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who's a great point guard, not necessarily the best 3-point shooter. So he's trying to get guys involved, and he's not trying to do too much himself. And I feel like we need to see him more aggressive. When he was shooting more threes last year, when he was just making plays and not thinking about stuff too much, the Kings were a much better basketball team.
Yeah, I agree. He is playing a different role on this team this year as opposed to last year. The ball is in his hands more primarily this year. Last year, I feel like he was, he shot really well from 3, and a lot of those were catch and shoot. This year, he's having to make plays for himself more. Mm-hmm. He's having to be the primary ball handler. So there is an adjustment period to that. We've already said a bunch of times here, the floater is open for him. That pick and roll game with Rashawn Holmes is working really well, and I would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive as he gets to the basket. He can look to put up a few more shots there. But had a good shooting night against Utah. You know, you said it correctly. I think he's still feeling his way out on this team. And, you know, you've got guys on this team. It's hard to be more aggressive when you know Harrison Barnes is going to get up 13 to 16 shots a game. De'Aaron Fox is going to get up probably that same number of shots a game. Buddy Hield is definitely going to put up 15 shots a game. So when you know that's going to happen, and when you know that these guys are on the court for that specific purpose, you know, I'm sure you can't help but feel like I have to be the one to get those guys in the position to get up good shots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough transition period for him. But look, if he's going to average, you know, 10 points a game, 6 or 7 rebounds, and 8 assists a game, I'll take that.
That's
from
great.
him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much his stat line last night. He had 9 assists.
But
And
this
2
guy
blocks,
is also a great three-point shooter. I know the shot doesn't look the best, but he's making them. And you saw what Luke said about Harrison Barnes needing to get 8 threes a game. I feel like Ty needs to get some more shots too.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said before, though, I think it's adjusting to how you're going to get those shots in a new role, right? It's not as much catch and shoot anymore. You're not the guy that gets left open in the corner now.
Mm-hmm.
You're the guy that's going to have a really good defender on you, and you're the primary ball handler. So you have to be able to get more of your own shot now, as opposed to finding that spot and getting a good pass for a shot from others. So we got to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to talk about trades. I know everyone's been talking about trades. From what you've seen from Davion, what you've seen from Fox, and what you've seen from Tyrese, I know everyone wants to trade Buddy and Bagley, but those are the 3 guys that probably have the most value on this team outside of Harrison Barnes. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'm going to say, out of those 3 guards, which one are you most likely to trade? Wow.